I cannot believe it has been 2 years since I bought my 2014 Nissan GT-R. This was a dream car of mine since I was in like 7th or 8th grade when it first came out. I worked 10 years to be able to afford to buy this car. It has been literally a dream car and I love owning it. So today we're going to do a 2-year update talking about some things I've done to it, all the modifications, the type of driving I've done, my overall thoughts on it, maintenance costs, and then my overall plans for it. So to kick it all off, I have my original bill of sale right here. How much did I pay for this car? I paid $67,300. That was the actual sale price of this car. Bought it with around 24,500 miles on it. We add in a few dealer prep fees, taxes, sales tax, other stupid fees that every dealer is going to have. Puts me at $69,958. So with all that said, when I bought the car, I traded in my 2016 370Z Nismo edition for this car. I had 12 grand equity in that car and I wrote a check for $14,000. So I financed $44,000 of it, the rest I owned. Currently I owe about 26 grand on it, so not too bad. I'm definitely getting closer and closer to paying this car off and owning it free and clear. So just a quick look at the car, finished off in the gray, definitely a beautiful color for the car. And then the interior, this is a $5,000 option when it was new, the red upgraded leather interior. This has around 36,500 miles on it currently. And when this car was brand new, this had a sticker price at $105,000. So pretty nice to be able to pick it up on the used market for a lot cheaper. And with the values of GTRs, they got more expensive every year. So it's actually not really depreciating. I can still sell it for around $65,000 to $67,000, which is really nice. So we'll start from the front and move our way back. Underneath the hood, I have the AAM 3-inch air intakes, which are right here. Also have the upgraded upper intercooler piping with the tile recirculation valves. Also have a full-on larger intercooler. You can see it back there, much larger than the factory one. 1050cc fuel injectors are located underneath the intake manifold. And then working towards the exhaust, this car is featuring a full Armytrix straight pipe exhaust with their Valvetronic muffler and the titanium tips. They look so cool in the blue coloring. But that is actually all the performance mods. I have a rear sway bar in it as well. But with that, this car is full straight pipe, full bolt-ons is technically what this would be considered, all at 93 octane. Haven't dynoed it yet, but it should be around 600 wheel horsepower, which is plenty. It is really fast. So that's all the mods I've done to it. Nothing too crazy. All of the paint has been protected with a ceramic coating by Innovative Speed Shop. As you can see, I've actually driven it in the rain, and yet it looks super shiny. The windows are tinted by Sunstoppers with XPEL. This is 30% film on the backs and the side. Gives it a really nice look. And then we have 70% on the windshield. Before continuing with today's video, we are giving away a GoPro for the month of January. All you have to do to enter to win is be a subscriber to us on YouTube and leave a comment on today's video. Also include your Instagram name for the easiest way to contact you guys. But at the end of the month, we're going to pick the video that had the most comments, and a random comment from that video is going to be the winner of a brand new GoPro. So in 12,000 miles, what kind of driving have I done? Quite honestly, this has been a daily driver, normal grocery getter commuter car for me. The first year I owned this, I had a normal full-time job. I had a whopping 8-mile round trip every day to work. I would either drive this or take the motorcycle on a really nice day. And then all of this year I've been doing full-time YouTube, so a little bit of traveling has been involved. I've driven a lot more this year than last year. So for the most part, commuting, driving around town, grocery shopping, going to the gym, going to work, going to car dealerships, stuff like that. It's been a normal car for me. I have been out on the racetrack once, the drag strip once, and the airstrip once. So I've been on the track actually doing some spirited driving, getting up around 120, 130, going 100 miles an hour around turns. It's awesome around the track. That was definitely fun. I had this out on the drag strip 2 summers ago. The first summer I had it, all I had was a catback exhaust, so no tuning or anything like that. And that was actually the YouTube call-out event. I was racing against Street 717's Orange ZR1, and this thing destroyed it, which was pretty awesome. All-wheel drive launch is really hard to beat. But other than that, just driving around town, I'll drive it in normal mode like right now. Automatic, comfort mode suspension is pretty much what I'm in 99% of the time because it really absorbs the bumps nicely. These days though, ever since I bought the Supra, this is more of a weekend car. I don't really do the commuting with it anymore because the Supra is way more comfortable, has more technology to make it a better daily. So now it is more of a weekend car, which is a lot of fun. I can just play play with it nowadays, which pretty much every mile I put on this car now is just purely fun. So yeah, it gets a little bit more abuse nowadays just because when I do drive it, I'm driving it for fun. So by now you're probably saying, why haven't we heard a launch control run with valves open? We're gonna do that in just 1 second. Last thing real quick to talk about is maintenance costs. People said this is gonna be some expensive, ridiculous car to maintain. This is no different than a normal basic car. I can do an oil change for about $30. Last oil change, I was able to get the 5 quarts on sale, and the oil filter was on sale as well. A whopping $30, and 40 minutes later, oil change done. And then the only other maintenance at 35,000 miles, I had the transmission and differentials flushed. That's about $300 worth of oil, around $150 labor, depending on if you do it yourself or if you go to a shop to have it done. But that's it. I've done an oil change every 5,000 miles. I did a power steering flush just for the heck of it. That was a whopping $10. It's nothing crazy to maintain. It really is a no big deal normal car to own, and that has been very nice. It's easier to do the oil change on this than it was on the 370Z actually, and that's all the maintenance that I've had to do. I did swap out the brake pads to a Quiet brand versus the stock Brembos, just because the stock ones are so squeaky and loud. For daily normal driving, I would rather sacrifice 10% of the performance to get no squeaking because they were obnoxiously loud. So using the wireless remote from Armytrix, there's a comfort mode and then a race mode that opens up the exhaust valves. So real quick, here's a rev in comfort mode, which is valves closed. Pretty much sounds stock, which is very impressive. There's no cats or anything, just a little tiny muffler in the back. Race mode now. Definitely sounds way better. And when driving in comfort mode, there's pretty much no drone, which is really nice. So as far as launch control goes, so transmission and traction have to be in race mode. I keep the car in automatic because it does it a heck of a lot better. Foot firmly holding the brake and full throttle. Let off the brake and the car will go really, really quick. It's about 75 degrees outside right now. Was the best launch I've ever done. Wow, that hooked so well. Like, it didn't even spin in first gear. I saw traction light flicker a split second, but I didn't feel any change in power. Wow, and that wasn't even exaggerated being like this. That was the thrust of it holding me back. I'm not gonna say that was over 55, but this thing gets to 120 without even thinking. You can easily hit that on any on-ramp. It is so freaking fast. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I love this car, it's so good. So with that said, on to the plans. So I've kind of gone back and forth a little bit, especially when I was first deciding to buy the Toyota Supra. I didn't really know where this car would fit into the garage. You know, would it make sense having this, or should I just trade in this for the Supra? I'm really glad I didn't do that. Not to say this is a better car GT-R than the Supra. The Supra is so much better than this thing in so many other ways that if I did trade this in for it, I would have lost out on having a mechanical, old school, ridiculously fast straight pipe car like this. You know, there's something about this car that no other car can even come close to. I did make a quick video saying if I sold this, it would be for a Lamborghini, and honestly, that's where I am. If I end up selling this car for anything, it's either going to be another GT-R or a Lamborghini. The goal, honestly, is though, I don't want to not have a GT-R in my life. I love having this thing. It's so ridiculous, and even though a Lambo would be amazing to have, I would be losing out on what this car has, and to me it's not worth giving up this car and doubling the price to get a Lamborghini. As much as that is a dream car of mine, my all-time dream car, it's not as fast as this, and it's just not as usable and just more expensive. There's more stress associated with an expensive car like that. So for me, I'm not going to trade this in for a Lambo, even just because it's not worth getting rid of this. So honestly, the dream garage for me is this car, the Supra, and a Lamborghini, and then maybe a Nismo Z to be like a twin turbo build car or something like that. So I have no plans to sell this at all. It's really become like my car. It's when I sit in this, I just feel at home in it. So I am considering maybe in a year or two, depending on kind of the mechanical condition of this and whatnot, maybe trading this in for a 2017 just to get the newer body style, get one in my absolute perfect spec. I love the gray and I love the red, but I would rather be blue or white on the outside. So if I could find one of them at some point and trade it in and it made financial sense, I would totally do that. But at the same time, that seems like a waste of $25,000 to trade this in for a car that's pretty much the exact same just to get a little bit newer. So I don't really see that happening. If this ends up having a mechanical issue, like there's actually something wrong with the car, I'm going to do my best to clean it up and sell it and move on to another GT-R, just because I don't want to spend 15 grand on replacing a transmission or something ridiculous when I could just buy another car. So as far as my plans for the car, I don't see it going anytime soon. I love the car. I'm getting close to paying it off. That's more of my goal, actually, is to pay off the car versus sell it for the next thing. So if I have this car paid off, then it's just the super payment, and I can keep building towards adding a Lamborghini and having 3 of those cars. As far as modification plans, it's pretty much fast enough. I know a lot of people say do E85. It's just not worth it to me. It's fast enough the way it sits right now. I can't even use this power. Even on a racetrack, I can't use the power. So to have the inconvenience and the extra cost associated with doing the E85 conversion and all that kind of stuff, I just don't see the point of it. When I do drive this car, I probably put 100 miles on it at a time whenever I do drive it. So I need to be able to fill up the car with gas very conveniently. I don't want to have to only go to E85 stations. So it's not practical for me. I don't see the point. So then for cosmetic mods, I want to do more cosmetics. I love the wheels and the stance on the Supra, so I really want to do wheels on this car. Probably go with bronze just to kind of have that as our theme, because I've always been a fan of bronze wheels. And then maybe some sort of lip kit or some carbon fiber pieces on the exterior just to give it a little more style to it. If I wrap the car again, it's going to be Bayside blue. Not really looking to do that anytime soon because I'm enjoying having this new paint again after I unwrap the other wrap. So that's kind of it. The only last thing to touch base on, what is it really like to have this car? It's really cool because this is a supercar. It has all the characteristics of a high-end, crazy exotic supercar as far as the performance goes, the rawness, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it is just a Nissan. So I can literally take this anywhere. I can go to Walmart at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday, and nobody looks at the car, nobody messes with it. It just looks like a basic gray two-door car. I don't see many of these ever. I rarely actually see a GT-R out on the road, but it is nice how this flies under the radar so well. Only people who know it are people who actually are car people and know what it is. Those people are awesome to know what the car is because you can talk to them about cars. Normal people, they may look at it like, oh, that's a nice car, but they don't look at it like any expensive car or anything fancy or anything out of the ordinary, which is really nice. I can use it normal. I can park it at people's random apartment complexes if I'm visiting friends, and no one messes with it. It's not like a bright yellow Lamborghini sitting there. But that is it. 2 years later, owning a Nissan GT-R. This was truly a dream car of mine. I worked my butt off to be able to afford it. If you want to see that video, I'll have that one linked down below. And I love the car. It's so much fun. I do have the GT-R playlist in the description. You can check that out for all the videos. As far as the condition, it still looks exactly like I bought it. It honestly looks in better condition now than when I bought it. The leather has been perfect. Nothing looks worn out. It literally looks brand new almost. So I've enjoyed it, but that is the Nissan GT-R. You guys seem to really enjoy it. I really enjoy making content on it, and hopefully some more plans this year as I drive it more and do some more aesthetic upgrades to it. That's it for the video. Give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next video.